So today we're at Hartbury College at a Climathon that's being run in the Forest of Dean, looking at food waste and the circularity of food production. When you look at emissions, food and farming, and so food production is high, we know that, and also it ripples across others. So the other Climathons that looked at sort of transport and energy, food production comes into that as well. And then I think really importantly is in the lens of a cost of living crisis. We've got people relying on food banks, and then, we're throwing out very edible food that, is being wasted.
Our emphasis is on developing solutions for rural communities and rural districts, and that's because these are places that have particular decarbonisation challenges. So they're often areas that have a higher car dependency, they're areas that have sometimes infrastructure problems, so maybe in terms of things like the grid infrastructure. Sometimes they have very strong farming, food and drink economies and communities, but they're not always connected up, their voices don't always come through in some of these more national level targets that we sometimes see in relation to both net zero and decarbonisation.
I think Climathons like this are really important going forward, because actually what they do is they integrate people from different sectors within the industry and from outside of the industry as well, which I think is really important. So in terms of community engagement and things like that, that's really key.
My main focus at the British Academy is trying to understand how can we think about place sensitivity, people-centred approaches and multi-level governance for climate action. And it's really nice to come in and actually hear different perspectives from different parts of the country, including from here today in Gloucestershire. A lot of net zero happens at the local level, and understanding how we can increase that action, how we can support it, how we can scale up some of the really good solutions out here is one of the best things we could do to really drive forward the net zero and the climate agenda more widely.
Here at Hartbury, obviously we've got quite a sizable campus. There's a large amount of food that's used, but also there are sources of waste within the campus, and that could be from farming operations that go on, but also around the biomass that's collected and how we might utilise that better. The area that really stood out for me is probably valuing our food, and that's something that we could also think about how we might do that, and hopefully that would also reduce the amount we're wasting in our food chain.
For me, Climathons are extraordinary and quite unique in terms of the breadth of people that you get from all different walks of life, and that's what makes it really valuable. You get people who think differently, different experiences. I tend to think about businesses, profits, and it's that mix, I think, that makes this so powerful.